get it. So you know what they used to always say to me, why don't you smile more? Why don't you laugh more? And I said, you know when I laugh? When someone tells me a funny joke. I'm not just going to...
Do you get the sense that he cares about any of this?
No.
I don't think he cares about anything.
I don't think he cares about
He cares about horses.
What is patois?
Look it up.
How do you even spell patois?
Yes, I already knew you didn't know that one.
I thought it was patois, Patoir. I Googled it, and it pulls up Urban Dictionary. A stupid Frenchman who was a Boy Scout and had sex with a moose.
What?
So how do you spell patois?
I know it's stupid. I don't care.
Come on.
And you know why there's pressure on you, pal? You know why there's pressure on you? Because you've never gotten out of the second round.
Welcome to the Daily Ding. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. With me tonight is my good friend, Mark Schindler. Mark, what's up, man?
Playoff basketball is what's up, Andrew. We had two really good games tonight, man. I'm excited to dive into these two. How are you feeling after this one?
I'm feeling juiced up is how I'm feeling. This was such a fun night. We have to start in Boston. I still am wrapping my mind around that the Philadelphia 76ers beat the Boston Celtics without Joel Embiid, who was ruled out earlier today, 119-115. In such a insanely wild game. James Harden, 45 points, 6 assists, 17 of 30 from the field, 7 of 14 from 3 was unreal. Tyrese Maxey was great. Jason Tatum was awesome in this game, 39 points, 11 boards, 5 assists. But I wanted to walk through the fourth quarter of this game, kind of the late fourth quarter of this game, about 5 minutes left, where PJ Tucker just inadvertently just a no-look nut tap on Jason Tatum. And then I just felt like from there, it just kind of set everything off. It just sent everything just kind of crazy. The next play, Tobias Harris just does this like rope-a-dope where he is dribbling around in 2 complete circles to get back to the rim on Horford scores. The next play, Marcus Smart and one circus shot falls on the ground. I feel like that happened 2 or 3 times tonight where Marcus Smart ends up on the ground for an and one. And then the play of the game, this happened a few plays later. This was it. This was with the refs held the game in their hands with this one. It was the block charge call on Tyrese Maxey as he goes to the rim, makes the layup, gets fouled. 2 officials have 2 different calls, and he has 5 fouls in this game. And I thought, this is the call of the game. Whichever way this goes, this could shift the entire game. I don't know how you felt in that moment, but that was kind of, I felt like, oh my gosh, they are literally like cradling this game in their arms right now.
Yeah, no, I felt exactly the same. And I'm glad that they reversed, or I guess not reversed, just didn't give that a call, because that was, it was pretty clear that Marcus was still moving when Tyrese left his feet. I think what's so frustrating is that always has some gray area where some refs call it where, okay, well, if you're not technically moving, it doesn't matter if he was moving laterally. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Even if you're moving laterally, it doesn't matter. If you're not done moving when somebody is going up to attempt their shot or off the ground, it shouldn't count. And there is murkiness in that, but basically in the rule book, that's how it should be. So they called it right. If Maxey had gone out, I think that's tough.
That would have been curtains for them. And so it's great. And also you just get to see this game play out. You know, I didn't really feel like, oh, this is definitely going to be a Sixers win because he stays in the game. I just thought, okay, this can be a game, because it was a 4-point. That was a big swing. It had he not gotten the points and then the and one, whatever. So it's 110-111. Boston's up 1. On that next play, Boston gets 2 offensive rebounds. Horford gets this like basically uncontested layup to go up 3. And you're just like, man, that's pretty rough. And then Paul Reed stepped up in a big way tonight. In the first half, man, like the Sixers were just giving everything at the rim. There was like a cajillion dunks, it felt like, in the first half. But in the second half, he was way more physical. And the free throws from him, I mean, he stepped up and hit 4 massive free throws in like the highest pressure environment that I can think of that he's ever played in. And sinks them 57 seconds left. He sinks 2, didn't even touch the rim, didn't even think about touching the rim as those things are going in. 112 to 113 with 57 seconds left. And then, boy, the Celtics had the most mind-numbing play that I have maybe ever seen. Nobody wanted the ball. They were playing hot potato. It was Brogdon to Smart, Smart to Brown, Brown back to Smart, Smart to Tatum, Tatum to Brogdon. And then Brogdon throws it to Tyrese Maxey as the clock expires. They all think this is a shot clock violation. Maxey takes it coast to coast. He is even a little unsure. You can tell with his body language that he's even a little unsure after he dunks it. Like, did this even count? Is this even going to happen for us? That gave the Sixers the lead, 114 to 113. And it just felt like, I just did not understand what in the world the Celtics were doing. They just didn't seem to have a plan. And I know the Sixers played good defense, but that was just one of the most mind-numbing plays I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. But all I could think about in that moment is any time that Maxey gets the ball in the open court, I just think of playing any of the Sonic games growing up. And it's just like he hits that gear as soon as his first step is just nasty. Like he's gone as soon as it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was weird. I think seeing some of the indecision from the Celtics late. I mean, I think that is geez, I cannot speak. I think it does speak to what the Sixers defense was late. Because like you mentioned, like I thought Paul Reed was really active and did a lot of really good things, but also it was just, I mean, that kind of indecision and lack of feeling out the moment was weird from them. It was really tough from a Celtics standpoint because I think you had some players who really like just struggle overall tonight. Like, honestly, I think to me, Tatum and Brogdon were the only 2 players I look at who I would say had quote unquote like above average games for the Celtics. I thought most everyone was pretty below average, had some rough points. Like Marcus Smart was solid, but Al Horford really struggled on defense. Part of that was the positions they put him in. He was cold from deep, but Derek White didn't have a great game. But like even looking at Tatum, I mean, Tatum had a really good game tonight, but that gets lost for what his last 4 or 5 minutes were. Like, as good as he was at the rim overall the entire game, he ends up just missing 2 or 3 really easy looks around the basket on drives that would have been pretty crucial in them winning the game. Their offense was just weird tonight. Even with them scoring as many points as they did, I didn't really feel great about how points were getting scored, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I didn't feel great about their defense consistently. I just felt like it kind of waxed and waned throughout the game, and they just got kind of tight there at the end of the game. They just didn't play well. You know, after that, let's see. So Paul Reed makes the 2 free throws, and then they have their hot potato, which is just ridiculous. Tyrese Maxey gets the 2 points. Tatum goes to the line. The Celtics are actually up with 26 seconds left, 115 to 114, which sets up. This is the shot. Like, this is the shot of the game. And I don't know if this drove you crazy, but just like this, like the easy switch the Celtics gave.
Yeah. There
was just like, hey, the Sixers want to get Al Horford onto Harden. And it was almost just like, can we please have Al Horford on James Harden? Like, yes, you may. And like, it was just that kind of stuff just drives me crazy because you have a guy like Smart who can fight. There was not like some crazy like wall setup where he couldn't fight through. Just like the soft switching that happens sometimes in the NBA kind of drives me crazy. But it set up the biggest shot of the game where Harden was just unbelievable. It looked like vintage Harden getting that shot off. I honestly just didn't know he had that left in him to get to 45 in a game. I just didn't know that was there.
a couple things on that. The fun part is that this was, in my opinion, and watching, and also just I points told, this is Harden's best game in a Sixers uniform. So he'd never scored 40 points in a game as a Sixer. Granted, small sample size, but exactly like you're mentioning. I mean, that was just huge from him in the moment with what they needed. I was coming in expecting them to lose by double digits, and I think most people were, honestly. And like you're speaking on with Horford, I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because I think in some ways you can look at it and say, well, Harden's not going to hit 7 of 14 every night. So you just live with that. But at the same point, when it's been happening the entire night, it feels like, or I guess, like, I don't know. It was more like you got the flurry in the first quarter. He heated up towards the end of the third, and then it was the entirety of the fourth. But I'm right there with you. Like, I feel like I would have so much rather seen the Celtics try to be like, I don't think you can just quote unquote get the ball out of Harden's hands. I feel like that always gets brought up. I'm like, that's a lot easier said than done because, when he's getting the ball moved out of his hands, it's probably just somebody who's open because he's a damn good passer. But like, PJ Tucker played 36 minutes, and it just never felt like the Celtics found a way to even try and punish them for playing him as much as they did.
You know how many shots he took tonight?
He took zero.
He took zero, Mark. He took none. And they didn't make them pay at all.
Yeah. And I think that is what I find more baffling. Like, I wanted to see them be a lot more aggressive defensively. Go away from some of what they were doing and being a little bit vanilla and just trying to keep everything in front. And like, they have the guys to be like, I mean, we've seen them do it. They have the guys to be more aggressive. They have the guys to make things interesting, and they opted not to. And I'm interested to see if they change that up moving forward, and if they could give us some inclination as to why that was the option tonight. But it's what they did. So yeah.
Goodness, that was bad. And then, I mean, obviously, like, huge credit to James Harden. Ties a career playoff high at 45. He was amazing tonight. Paul Reed again hit those 2 free throws to basically ice this game. Both those guys were unbelievable. Maxey deserves a ton of credit for what he brought. D'Anthony Melton off the bench was so good. He hit 5 of 6 from 3. He was so good for them. And then it really was the indecision of the Celtics. I think that's what you said, and I think that's a great way to phrase it, because even there with the inbound, it was Brogdon to Smart. Smart drives the lane, and Tatum didn't really know what he was going to do once he got into the paint, and he kind of threw it toward Tatum, but it didn't really even feel like a pass, and the ball ends up going out of bounds, and Tatum pushes Paul Reed, and that's how he gets the free throws. But it was just like this, well, we don't know what's going to happen. They just felt so ill prepared for the moment. And it's just funny to see a team coached by Doc Rivers that doesn't have Joel Embiid out there to be the team that's way more prepared and to be the team that looked ready for the moment. That kind of blew my mind a little bit. And this was the first, what was it? The first game 1 win for Philadelphia in Boston since 1981. I thought that's just kind of crazy to think about.
Going back a ways, yeah. Wait, so who is even on that Sixers team? Is that Barkley? Or no, that's too early for Charles Barkley.
No, too early for Barkley. You know what?
It's got to be Moses
I don't
Malone.
know.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's right.
80s is where my hoops knowledge gets murky, but 90s I'm good. But yeah.
It's been a long time, and congrats to the Philadelphia 76ers. If you're a Sixers fan, you got to be feeling good today. They deserve that win. We'll see if Joel Embiid plays in game 2. That will be crucial, because I mean, Philly, they're giving themselves a shot. I don't think many people gave them a shot in this series without Joel, and good on James Harden and the Philadelphia defense. And I didn't love the way Tobias Harris played throughout the night, but he finished the game really well. He hit he hit a really big 3 from Harden. He played really well down the stretch. So I feel happy for the Sixers and for Sixers fans. Let's move on to Denver in a very, very interesting game. This was not if you were to tell me like pick the low scoring affair of the night, I don't think this would have been the game that I would have picked. I think that I might have said it's going to be Philly without Joel Embiid might be the low scoring affair, but that was not it. It was the Suns Nuggets 87-97. What year is it? What's happening here? This was a weird one. And one thing I is Jokic. He put the team on his back. He took 30 shots tonight. If I'm looking for the stat of the night, it's that we had aggressive Nikola Jokic tonight. 39 points on 30 shots, 39, 16 and 5 tonight. He was the MVP. He was masterful.
Yeah, I mean, don't go taking something away from year 14 Jeff Green, but I think he had a close second for MVP there. Shout out to him. His only points tonight were just an absolute posterization. Just don't know how he does it anymore, man. It's crazy to me. He's been like, not to just go on this wild tangent, but I'm a big Georgetown fan. I've always loved Jeff Green. I still believe he's going to make an all-star team someday, even though he's like 36. And just seeing like his career is so fun, man. But yeah, like you said, I think watching in a game like this where they really needed somebody to take over and be their number one scorer.
Oh man,
it was awesome to see this from him because Jamal, as much as he put pressure on the defense, and I thought his passing was awesome tonight, and the way he got into the paint was really good. Jamal did not have it as a scorer tonight. 0-9 from deep, 3 of 15 from the floor. Was not his night as a scorer, but Jokic was awesome as a scorer. It didn't really matter who was on him. I thought Bismack Biyombo gave him a little bit of trouble early on, but then Jokic just kind of figuring him out from there. And I didn't really think there was much of an answer to it. He was just kind of having his way. And got to give a big shout out to Aaron Gordon too. I really liked Aaron Gordon's game tonight. Like not a crazy box score or anything, but I thought he did a really nice job. And, just adding some secondary stuff there while also playing really well defensively.
Yeah, the Nuggets defense in the fourth quarter was really good. And also the Suns offense.
Can I just say something? Yeah, okay.
So bad.
Yeah.
So bad. They were 0 of 9 to start the fourth quarter with Jokic on the bench. Like these are the minutes where if he's on the bench and everybody else has been terrible tonight. Everybody else can't even throw the ball into the ocean. And you cannot take advantage of that moment. Like that is the moment that screwed over the Suns. They were in this game, the start of the fourth quarter, and it was basically like Campaign had just a series of plays that was just like what's going on? Like, do you not realize that Kevin Durant is out there with you? Like, what are we doing here? The fact they went 0 of 9 to start the fourth quarter, and they just made terrible plays. Some of that's Chris Paul's out. He tweaked his groin with about 4:30 left in the third quarter and went out. And it just felt like they couldn't generate offense outside of just like Booker and KD just being themselves. And they really even weren't themselves in the fourth quarter of this game.
Yeah, I think part of what was really fun in watching this in the way that the Nuggets play defense. If you just look at Michael Porter Jr.'s box score, you'd be like, what the hell was he doing tonight? I thought his defense was awesome. Like, I thought he was really solid defensively tonight. And it was fun to watch. Like, they put him on Chris Paul. And I thought that was a really interesting way to go. Where knowing, like, hey, Chris Paul is quicker to you. He's going to get to his spots. But I thought MPJ did a really good job of just recovering. They were doing a lot of, okay, well, we're going to have Jokic will show a little bit, keep him in front, and MPJ will recover back. Just be long and be in the way. And I thought that worked perfectly because they did a really good job of preventing him from, like, obviously he's not getting downhill all the time, but he's good enough at doing like the Nash dribble and getting to where he wants to and opening things up with pacing and timing. And I thought that was a really great job to stifle a lot of anything that could happen in early offense or out of a Chris Paul ball screen for them. Bigger thing too, it felt like it didn't really matter who was the fifth player on the court for the Suns. They just did not care, and they were going to help off and be pretty aggressive, cheating into the lane. So that just really deterred a lot. And I think shout out as always to my guy Nekias Duncan. I think the only person as soon as the KD trade happened, and part of it in jest, like he's always, like he's always thinking of the minute things, but like as soon as the KD trade happens, like, so who exactly is getting to the rim? And
Yeah.
the Suns took 16 shots to the rim tonight. Like that compared to 33 long twos. And to be fair, like they shot 17 and 33 on long twos. This is a team that's going to shoot incredibly well from mid-range, but that is an incredibly tough diet to live on, especially in a game like this. And I think you saw that play out tonight. Again, like I think that speaks to what some of the other personnel is on the team. But when your three best players are all guys who operate at their best, in that in between, and losing the battle of who's taking more threes and making more threes, it's really tough. I think tonight was just one of those nights that was a big indicator of that. I will say too, like Kevin Durant's gonna have a better game moving forward. But I'm gonna be really interested to see how they continue to operate with him, because they used him a ton as an off-ball player today instead of initiating sets with him. And I wonder if they're going to change that up at all, because I do think that that's more of where they can get interesting with it. And maybe they try and attack Denver's defense in a different way. Not that he wasn't an effective off-ball player. Like he's going to draw the defense. He's still going to do things well. But I think as much as I love Devin Booker as a player, and he had a pretty good game tonight, a very good game tonight, I think that I would like to see them diversify that a little bit more and just try and get a little bit more creative.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to if Chris Paul can't go. Like they just simply will have to. They're going to have, and they need anybody to step up. Anybody. I mean, they had 14 points outside of KD, Booker, and Ayton. 14. They had 4 points on 16 shots off the bench.
Not good.
Like you just can't survive that. You just can't survive it, especially when Kevin is 27 shots, 24 points. Like you can't survive it. That's how you score 87 points in a playoff game in 2023. Is like you just don't have enough guys that can get the job done. Like all these guys are so reliant on somebody to create a shot for them. And then like when your best point guard goes out, I mean, it just makes life so much harder for you. I'm just so curious to see how they continue. And like you said, like they're going to have to put the ball in Kevin's hands. Like Kevin is going to have to go create. This is going to have to be Kevin's team if they're going to even win this series. And it's not over. We can't trick ourselves, because we've seen this. Everybody written off the Warriors being down 0-2 to the Kings. And I know this is different. This is not a team that's done it together before. So you have every reason if you want to, but I also just like, let's just chill out and let's see what happens in Phoenix.
I have sorry. I do want to add one last thing.
Sure.
I get wanting to change up and have Josh Kogan on the court to try and contain Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm just pretty out on it. And especially when you look at the series that Torrey Craig just had against the Clippers, like he was really good against the Clippers. Like granted, game 5, I don't even think he scored in game 5, but even if he's not going to get guarded like a shooter, he's at least going to take the shots, and he's been on a heater, as much as you can be as a guy who takes like 7 or 8 shots a game. But like, I just don't think that the offense-defense trade-off has been worth it enough to go with Okogie as much as they have. I wonder if they're going to change that up at all now. But I also I do wonder if we're going to come back and let's go like, oh, maybe that shouldn't have happened at the beginning of game 1 2. Not trying to say that I know more than Monty Williams. I clearly do not. But that was kind of one of the bigger surprises to me, was seeing them automatically just off rip go away from Torrey. And like, he only played 11 minutes tonight. And I think it was similar to the night before. So it's, I mean, not very similar, but like, granted, I think he played that much because they were getting blown out. But just I mean, I don't know what other moves they really have to make with it. So
I mean, he's trying. He's just throwing everything at the wall. They played 10 guys by the beginning of the second quarter. 10.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not an indicator of I don't really know what I've got here, You're in the second round of the playoffs. You're playing 10 guys by the beginning of the second quarter. That's a problem. Michael Clampett in the chat. I think this is the sign that the show is over. Michael Clampett, we're doing this show live on YouTube. If you want to tune in on YouTube, you can comment along every single night with us. Michael Clampett, this is the comment that ends the show. He said, you know what Phoenix needs? Some Darius Bazley drives to the basket. And that's going to do it for today's show. Tampering is up next. Mark, send us out.
Ding, ding, y'all.
Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in live with us. We'll be back tomorrow night. I believe Jared Weiss will be on with Mo DeKeel, so join us after that. Hope you guys have a great night. Mark, thank you, and we'll talk to everybody later on.